So you started calling when you're 8, you called, and how old are you now?
49.
49 years old. So you've been calling for fucking 30 years, you know? So we're talking 30 years of elk calling. How many bulls do you think that you've arrowed?
Uh, it goes back to that comparison thing, but I've had a lot of success and been really blessed as an elk hunter for sure.
Do you think that you like it? I just want to, I'm just because like in a certain state, right? It's like Colorado, it's like 10%, less than a 10% chance of success with a bow on
Yeah.
it. That's the average, right? Some states like Wyoming, it's like 50% or something
Yeah.
like that. It's really good. Um, but what would you say that like your percentages of being successful are in those 30, in that 30-year span?
Yeah.
Like if you
So
could put
I've
it,
been bow hunting. I've been bow hunting for 38 seasons now for elk. Um, and we're fortunate in Idaho. Most years we can get 2 tags. I usually hunt at least one other state besides Idaho. So, most years I have 2 to 3 elk tags, and I love being able to go to different states because every state's going to be different.
yeah,
But I went 9 years. My first 9 years of hunting, I did not fill a tag. And so, I think I can relate to people's pain of, "Man, I've been doing this for 8 years and haven't killed anything." I can relate to that. But once I kind of figured it out, there was a streak of 15 or 16 years where I filled every tag I had. And, then for whatever reason, there might have been a tag here or there that didn't get filled. But I would say, you know, efficiency is probably over 90%.
that's, I mean, that's incredible. And that's why you're able to put, that's why you started Elk 101, right?
Yeah,
That's why you started that because you're like, hey, look, I'm having all this success. Like I should share with people. Like most people wouldn't do that. They wouldn't think that way. You know, that's why I think you're a different breed because most people aren't thinking, how can I help other people do this? And in being in service of others, it is like paid off for yourself. You know what I mean? And it's funny because we don't live in that kind of society anymore, you know, where people are
totally.
thinking of to be in service of others, which will help because everybody's always thinking about themselves and what I can do to grow my own thing and this and that. And so when did you start Elk 101?
2008. So, and there were several factors that came together growing up in elk country and getting that experience literally out my back door. I could literally get home in middle school, grab my bow, put on my camo, walk out my back door and be hunting elk. And, I wasn't successful, but I was learning a ton. The elk were teaching me a ton. I went to college, played a little college basketball, and got a degree in mechanical engineering and didn't even realize it at the time. At the time, I still just loved elk hunting. I was just going to be an elk hunter my whole life. That was it. There was no plan to take it anywhere. But then, the elk calling championships that gave me a title. That gave me some relevance. That gave me some
Pedigree.
quote authority. That hey, he's a great caller. He's got these titles. He's somebody we could listen to. Then you add in some elk hunting success along the way, and it's like, all right, this guy might know what he's doing and what he's talking about. Then the other thing was that engineering background, not even realizing it, taught me to take a system, break it down into individual components, maximize the efficiency of each of those components, then put them all back together to create the most efficient system that I could. And I didn't even realize it, but that's what I was doing with elk hunting. And somebody asked me, 2005, 2006, hey, what separates the 90% from the 10%? How do you go from being, in that 90% failure to the 10% success? And I thought, I don't know. And so I started breaking down what I do. I walked through each of these hunting situations where I'd been successful and realized there is an equation, there is a system and a process that I use. And so I broke it down. I realized I'd been maximizing the efficiency of each step along the way and then putting it all back together. And so being able to break it down and then explain it in a way that people can grasp it and understand it so it doesn't seem overwhelming because it's this huge equation of all these things, all these pieces going in at the right time in the right place. And you just try to blurt it out and people are like, whoa, that's too much. What's one thing I can do? And so being able to break it down and then explain it to people, all these things came together at the right time in the right place. And we're able to start Elk 101. From that, we created the University of Elk Hunting, the online course that basically goes through that whole process step by step. And, Like I said, we've gotten a lot of criticism that you're ruining hunting, you're bringing more people into hunting, success rates are going to go up, so hunting opportunities are going
It's
down.
not true.
And I look at it just on the flip side that, hey, we need more voices to protect this.
Yeah.
And Will Primo said it best when I spent 2 days in his home talking to him, and he said, if you teach people to love something, they're going to protect it.
Yeah.
And that's the goal. My goal at the end of the day is to protect elk hunting, so my children, my grandchildren, generations to come have elk and have hunting opportunities. And that's the responsibility of every elk hunter, is to get involved, to give back. We take elk hunting is about taking. It's about going out there, taking a resource, taking from a resource. And if we do that every year and we don't find a way to give back, that's a selfish view. So I think part of the education, the responsibility we have, is teaching people not only how to love something and be passionate about it, but teaching them what conservation really is, how we're going to protect it, what we need to do to give back, to put more elk on the mountain, to put more opportunity on the mountain.
Yeah. And, especially in the world we live in now, with people are trying to politicians are doing everything they can to try to destroy to take away your privileges. Like, cause
Yeah.
some people say, oh, it's my right to hunt this. No, it's a privilege. Like,
Yeah.
it is an absolute privilege to have the abundance of animals that we have and of ungulates to hunt. And when you
Yep.
talk about, introducing wolves, and you talk about zero plan to manage those wolves, and then you talk about, okay, well, now we're going to ban mountain lion hunting. And it's like, well, why?
What's at the center of
What's
that?
at
Is
the
it true wildlife management, or is it
Yeah, it's like
trying to eliminate
what's
something?
wrong with the scientific? I mean, you have all of the hundreds and thousands of you have thousands of biologists in Colorado, college educated biologists, and they all agree that you have to properly manage all of them. Every single one of these animals need to be properly managed. If that means not killing any, okay, then that means that. But if it means that, like, hey, we have quotas that are like scientifically driven and data driven, that these quotas are quotas per unit on mountain lions, right? This is like really good for the mountain lion population. It's good for the sheep, the elk, the deer, the locals, the people that live in the area. Like, it's good for everybody. It's good for them.
Yeah.
But then they're saying, well, we don't care to hear any of that. It's trophy hunting. Like, well, no, because trophy hunting is already illegal. Because I have to process that entire mountain lion for human consumption. So that's not trophy hunting. Trophy hunting would be just discarding the meat and taking the hide and the skull. That's what trophy hunting is. And that's already illegal. So they are using lies and misinformation to try to put these things to ballot. And if you just go up to the average person that doesn't hunt, or, and they're like, hey, do you think mountain lions are cool? Well, yeah, I think mountain lions are cool too.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, do you think that people should just be killing them as a trophy? Well, no. Well, I agree. I don't think they should be killing them as a trophy either. And then they're like, well, do you think we should ban mountain lion hunting? Trophy mountain lion hunting? Well, yeah. But then but they don't have any other information on
Background,
it.
no.
So now they see it pop up on the ballot and they're like, yeah, we don't want that. We don't want trophy hunting. And that's what happened. They did that with the wolves. They pulled the wool over everybody's eyes with the wolves here in Colorado. And now it's been a complete disaster and just blown up in Polis's face. So this guy, him and his husband, just a little, I don't know if you know anything about the governor of Colorado, but his husband is like an animal rights extremist. And he just wants the entire culture wiped away. Fur trading and meat production, all of it.